Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Visionary Dawn podcast. I'm your host, Huba, and this is my co-host,
Daniel Meany. You can just call me Meany during the show. Glad to be here, Nick.
Yeah, thank you. And today we have author and writer Zach Cole, who's also been known as the author of, Kaiju Epoch, If My Book Would Stop Disappearing. There we go. There you go.
Looks too much like the background.
Yes, it looks too much like the background. So here's his promotional copy that I got. This was a couple years ago. I worked on two of the illustrations for his book, and he sent me a copy of it way back in the day after production started.
Yeah.
So, Zach, I just wanted to ask you, how did you get started into writing?
Well, it started with my love of reading, of course. I read a lot as a kid. I read a lot, and then I decided, I was like, why don't I make my own books?
Yeah. And when I was
Fair enough.
that's a good enough start. And what do you think got you into your writing style?
Into my style, it took a little doing, but I started out with kaiju books like Project Nemesis and those Saraceni Godzilla books. I kind of took inspiration from those and then just developed my own style as I went.
Yeah, and these were Jeremy Robinson's books, right? For the Project Nemesis series.
The Project Nemesis, yes.
Okay.
I read the first book, and it was a really good it was a really great novel. I didn't get around to reading the other ones, unfortunately, but I can see where like some of your inspiration started to like come in from there a little bit, because they are really good series. So
I will say the second one is probably the best of the series.
Why do you think the second one's the best one?
Well, well, there's more monsters, of course, and more action, and it's just really well written.
I'll have to go check it out and pick it up sometime. Do you want to move on to your question, Meanie?
Well, I didn't quite know how you wanted to switch it back and forth, honestly. But going back to the Kaiju Epoch is the name of your like current release, the one you're. I'm just making sure I caught the title. No. Or
Kaiju Epoch is from like a while back.
A while back, okay. So what is the title for your new, like the book that you just finished that just came out, or what you were working on right now, and just kind of, what's the, I don't want to say elevator pitch, but the gist for it and everything, just so, we can link it for viewers and everything.
All right. I haven't had a release in a little bit, honestly. I've got a lot in the works. I've got a works and a lot that's just like slow going in the editing phases. But my one that should be coming out fairly soon is my fourth Jeremy Walker book. The fourth in the series, which is Kaiju Epoch, takes place in the same universe. And then I have a few others in the works, and I have one that I'm writing right now. Well, actually, no. I had a release like this year. Hang on a second.
That's all good.
I was about to say, Nick, didn't you tell me he just released something this year?
Oh,
that's so awful. Asking this now.
That's good. That's good. So I said he was working on something for Kaiju Epoch, like it's in its universe. So like it's
okay.
So it's part of that like series line was like his latest thing he added to it. So that's like I should have like mentioned that.
Sorry.
That was my bad. That was my bad.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just released a sequel to my first novella, was which is Tsuchigumo, and then this was Chimera through Raventail Press.
I have actually heard of them. Okay, we need to have like a whole section on your encounter with them and how that went and everything. But before that, let's get a little more background from you then, because it sounds like you've been like you said you've got a lot of stuff in the works right now. You're still in the editing for other stuff. So I guess moment of bragging time for you. Like, what have you gotten out already? Series wise, I know you said you've got 3 of the Jeremy Walker books out right now. You have the other another novella as well. So I mean, what does your full catalog look like right now?
7 books. Hang on, I can look this up real quick.
Okay. And of course the reason I ask as well is like, you've already mentioned in a few places where it's either a novel or a novella. Some of them have been ongoing series, others some like kind of one shots for just plotline stuff. Do you tend to favor one format or the other, or is it just one of those, as the story develops, so does how long it's going to be?
That's exactly it. It's just however long it is how long I keep it. I try to go as long as possible, but I don't want to drag things out if it doesn't need dragged out.
Yeah. There is a fine line, I think every writer walks between all of the detail that we come up with and think we should include versus what's kind of pertinent to our actual story. And honestly, the fun of writing is getting to kind of play jump rope with that for a while. Or at least finding, especially I found with writing shorter stuff, you learn very quickly the kind of details that people either aren't interested in or the ones where you can be a little more vague and stuff. Anyways, let's not get too far off track in that. We'll talk about writing processes and stuff here in just a bit. So, I mean, with 7 releases and stuff, you said you've gotten a recent one, a recent release done with is it Raventail?
Yeah, I believe it's Raventail.
Okay, sorry, I was just double checking that.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're the latest. How did you start publishing your stuff, and kind of how has that evolved through your career so far?
Well, Matt Denyon of the Atomic Rex series and other stuff I'm blanking on. He referred me to them because they approached him first, or before me, and he referred me to them, and so I re-released a book, my first novella, through them, and then I let them publish my sequel to it. And I have another one in the works that I'm probably going to publish through them.
Oh, wow. So overall experience with them so far sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it was a little rocky there for a second, but I think it was just all a big misunderstanding, and then it all got smoothed out and everything's good.
Gotcha. Awesome. Cool. So what about before them? Did you just self-publish through like the Amazon Kindle route? Did you play with that at all, or some other means?
I did do the Amazon self-publish for a while, and then I came in contact with Wild Hunt Press, and they released my 3rd Jeremy Walker book, and we're working on getting the 4th edited right now, and I have a few other books that I'm probably going to release through them.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like you've had pretty good luck with finding smaller publishing houses, at least, to work with. Just because it's like that's one of the things I know a lot of people are like, I don't even know how to begin looking for some of these guys, especially ones that would be like willing to accept, a nobody submission with any actual chance of success. As compared to like trying to submit it to like Penguin Publishing or something much more up there, I guess.
Yeah, I've had pretty good luck. They've all came to me, honestly.
I was gonna. This is where my next question was going to come in, which is since you started the self-publishing route, let's say we got a young kaiju writer, because I know the kaiju fiction novellas that have been coming out have been a big popular thing now. There's been a couple wave of them coming out. I was wondering, just for like some guys like writing into like science fiction or doing the kaiju thing, how would you, what advice would you give them to recommend to get into self-publishing? Like, just to like put something together to put online. I mean,
like an actual book together.
Yeah, well, just like what I mean is like to how would you put it on, like through Amazon, like your process you went into to getting
Oh,
yeah.
More specifically, I think he means like cliff notes for someone who's like, I've been writing this kaiju story for 3 years now. I've had multiple editors kind of look at it on, their own time, small time kind of stuff, and I want to just get it out to the public. What would be your recommendation to them?
I think Amazon Publishing is a good start. That's where I had my start. I mean, it's not a lot of money in there right away, unless you sell a lot of copies. But like, it's a good way to get it out there. Sorry, thinking.
You're fine, man.
You're fine.
I don't really know what else to say besides that. That's a good way to start. But if you're not into that, I'm sure there's other self-publishing areas you could go in. But self-publishing isn't bad if you're not in it for, to get rich.
if the expectation is not, millionaire in 2 months.
Right.
Gotcha. Have you been able to well, I assume so, honestly, if you're friends, if you've known Nick for any amount of time. Have you been to a lot of the convention circuits? Have you sold stuff like from artist alley tables, anything like that? Beyond just like digital releases and stuff online?
I have not. I was thinking about it for All Monsters Attack coming up in May, but I don't know if my comic will be done in time.
Well, I mean, at minimum, the novels should do. Even if it is your older work, it's one of the one of the main reasons I ask, and this will be something honestly we talk about probably a lot more in another episode. Because I self-published my Child of Starlight series a number of years ago for about a solid year on the convention circuit. Basically because I had tried marketing through all of the social media stuff, tried looking through like the Amazon routes and everything. And like you said, it can be profitable, but it's one of those, you need the audience, you need the crowd already. And so my old idea that I believe, honestly, I just, everyone who's already there, I think, is already aware of it. Me as someone who was not really able to attend a lot of conventions growing up, I mean, every kind of fan is at the conventions. We were at Basic Comic local comic conventions, and me and another writer were selling short story booklets and stuff at the time. And it was mostly the idea is, you just got to get to where the audience is. All of the people who read fantasy novels, are the same people who are probably watching anime and all the stuff.
That's true.
And it's one of those a mild hurdle I had is that most conventions are not marketed as huge conglomerates of pretty much every nerd fandom you can think of, but I mean it's all a little bit there, honestly. And I think at convention settings especially, you have the very unique and also very lasting interactions with individuals, no matter how brief. And if you're able to get prints of your work, that is the caveat, or even just have maybe a couple hundred prints or something, and because you've already got the digital links, so it's one of those, hey, I sold out of all my physical stuff the first day. I'm still here talking to you guys though, because I can still promote it digitally and whatnot. Just a avenue of thought that we've been going down. So I didn't know if you'd been there, if you'd had thoughts. So it sounds like you're probably already on a similar train of thought though, with going to it. Because I mean, Nick's told me about G Fest for years, and I mean, I can't imagine kaiju authors not there.
Oh yeah, I went in 2019, and the artist alley tables were awesome. There was kaiju authors there, kaiju artists there. It was a blast.
If I remember right, Matt Dennion was there too, I think, right? The Atomic Rex author.
No, not in 2019. He hasn't been there in a little while.
Oh, not bad.
Raphael Cornelli of the Daikaiju Yuki series was there.
Okay, that's who I must be thinking of. My bad. Yeah, that's that guy. Because, yeah, I was. It's weird because I remember I heard he was there, and then I heard I think if I remember from Andreas, he said that Matt Dennion was there. At least I thought he was. So.
He wasn't there. I would definitely remember if he was.
Oh, that's all good. That's all good.
Well, I mean, as long as we're talking about cool people at conventions, as a writer, especially, what was, I guess, the coolest famous person you met in your field for it? I mean, it sounds like you've haven't gotten a recommendation from his name's already slipped my mind, the Generator Rex from it. So sounds like a cool guy to meet, period.
Many. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine, man. But just what stands out to you? Who was definitely the coolest guy or girl, whatever?
I don't know. There's a lot of cool people that I've met, like Matt Dennion, Andre Perez, Nick. Nick's pretty cool.
Thank you.
And I've even talked a lot with Jeremy Robinson of the Nemesis series, and he's super cool. I'm going to be a fanboy about it, but I will probably Jeremy Robinson.
Nick, do you have one?
Yeah,
short interjection.
Jeremy Robinson. Now, I haven't met the guy personally, but what we did have kind of an interaction. So, do you remember Godzilla Battle Royale?
The game?
No, the movie, the Billy.
Oh.
And I was I played Zigra in the movie. So when it was coming out, the only time we talked was when we did the premiere at G Fest. It was in 2014 or 2013, and I believe he was there at the screening, and then afterwards he posted a thing online saying like, I loved every minute of this. It was like amazing. It was a love letter to the fans. And Billy replied something back to him and said like, "Oh, I'm so glad you loved it." And then I said something to Jeremy, said, "Hey, I'm glad you loved it. I was one of the actors in the movie. Really big fan of your first novel. Had a blast." And he said, "Oh, thanks, man. Like, come read the rest of my books." And yeah, he sounded like a really nice guy. He sounded really chill. So
Oh,
He's
nice.
super cool.
So honestly, the closest I've actually come is also through like a social media interaction. But when you said, not to fanboy too hard, it is the one that I fanboyed so hard, like my wife brings it up sometimes. So I love a series. I love both his series, honestly. It's an author named Brent Weeks. He did the Night Angel trilogy that now has a fourth one coming out, and the Lightbringer series that starts with like the Black Prism. The magic system in and of itself is a whole video, Nick, by the way. It's referred to as drafting. It's based on the light spectrum. And after the third book or so, I was still on Twitter, which I am not anymore. And I happened to tweet at Britt Weeks, and I was just like, "Hey, just out of curiosity, like, what inspired the drafting use of the light spectrum like that?" And like an hour later, I get a retweet or a comment from Brent Weeks going, "Oh, well, I was in my college class one day and we were talking about the physics thing and just sat in my brain for a decade and marinated." And I was just like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool to hear. It's, interesting to look at the process." Actually, just kind of me on the floor squeeing like a small Asian girl for about an hour, because like I'd been obsessed with this guy's work for over a decade. Like I started reading the Night Angels trilogy back when I was like stationed up north back in like 2012 now. So it was it was one of those random moments that I was just kind of like, this is so small, but I now understand other people when they meet famous folks and why they freak out so much, because he just tweeted at me. If I ever met him in person, I'll probably need to apologize repeatedly.
Yeah. I've not met Jeremy in person or anything like that, but he does have a get together he does almost every year, and because he writes about stuff in his his home area, and they show off different parts from books he's written. I thought it'd be so cool to go.
Yeah, it would be. All right, so at our halfway point here, talked about boring business stuff, cool interactions with famous people. So just on the topics for, the craft, as you've experienced it so far, out of everything you've published, maybe it hasn't sold the most, but what was like the book you were most, I guess, excited to get finished? Like, this is the part of the story, or this is a story that you were just super into, and kind of, why, what was in it, what did you crafted that, just got you excited to get it out to the audience?
Well, there's one I'm working on now that's I'm pretty excited about. I don't get a lot of time to write anymore, being a dad. But working on this one right now is pretty exciting. It's kind of like mythology meets like Attack on Titan.
Okay.
Like, 'cause it's got like all the different mythological gods and goddesses in it, and just some other stuff going on that's pretty fun.
Just a lot of different detail to play with.
Yeah.
Okay. I apologize. I have a small dog whining at me from an unknown location.
I love
And
dogs.
the good news is I do own a small dog, so I am
Okay.
not too freaked out by it. But if you see me looking around, oh, there he is. Okay, it's fine. Apologies. Well, all right. Well, okay. So, I'm kind of shot on questions, though. Anything else you want to ask our guest, Nick?
Oh, actually, yeah, I do. I was going to actually ask a couple about your first novel. This is something I wanted to ask you back in the day, but since we're tight schedule to hang on. If I would stop disappearing, hang on, everybody. All right, there we go. I think I got it. So what I was going to say was back in the day, like when we were working on the monsters, you requested me to do like a couple sketches of the monsters for your books, and you had like some like little rough drawings. I think you did, and then some other friends of yours put together. And so everybody, these are the. Hang on, there we go. Okay, that kind of works.
I think you might just have to kill the graphic, my man.
Yeah, I might have to. Might have to do that. Actually, what I'll just do instead, I actually can screen share this because I have the original scans after I hand drew them. So I'll put those in here. Let me just do that real quick. All right, screen share.
I was going to say if you can.
Yeah. Okay. Can everybody see that? Is it in there?
Yes, we can. Oh wow.
So that was the first one I did. I'm trying to let me pull up his name in the book. It's in the back section.
Dracona.
Was it Dracona?
Yes.
Okay, Dracona, yeah. So Dracona was the first one I started with because I thought he was like the most easiest to draw at first because he didn't have like he wasn't too complicated in his shape like the Nautilus looking one that comes like later on. So that was like the first one I started with just to kind of knock him out of the park. One of the questions I want to ask you was like, where did your inspiration for the monsters like the Kaiju come from? Like Dracona, for example.
Well, Dracona's been around for a little while now. Started out with different names and designs have changed throughout the years. Like this stuff has been going on since I was back in grade school. My friend actually drew up Dracona one time and it just stuck with us.
Oh, it's the thing I was looking at with him is he's kind of got like a mix of the pterodon and a sort of like a wyvern, like from European mythology, like the dragon body to it. There's one of the things I really like about Dracona, or when I was drawing him, was I really appreciated the fact that he's got this just complete mix of like a dinosaur and a dragon. So he looks prehistoric, but he almost looks like something that comes out of fantasy too. You know what I mean?
Definitely a wyvern was definitely partial inspiration, for sure.
Yeah. Let me pull up the next guy in here, if it will.
I comment on a detail.
Oh, what's that?
Is like I was gonna say. So just honestly, so knowing that the wyvern influence is there, of course. I mean, honestly, one of the cooler details for it, if I'm seeing the perspective right on it. Because he's still so like classic wyverns are like the Skyrim dragons.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the major two wings that function as kind of front stuff, and he looks like again like he has more of the dinosaur. Nick actually said the name of one. I've totally blanked it. Anyways, for it, but
Pterodon.
The pterodons, yeah. And so but for his design stuff, continuing to utilize the wings and everything, and still maintaining like a more, I guess, crocodile-esque. You know what I mean? Where his front legs are not the wings so much, at least as it looks initially, where it's like he's still kind of salamander-esque. And he's got the pterodon wings in the front still, with those front legs and everything. So I don't know. It just initially the design stands out to me with that, just because you don't see many of them that keep the to the ground body style when you go for the 2-leg and 2-wing combos. It's just really cool. Unless I'm seeing it wrong and he is set up traditionally like a wyvern, and I've just talked about nonsense for 4 minutes.
I think it's just the perspective.
Is it?
Because she's supposed to be more like a traditional wyvern.
It's all good. I was going to add, so there's a reason like he looks like that. So
he's forward. I see it now.
Yeah. So it's supposed to look like he's getting ready to take off. That's what it was. This is
okay.
Yeah, this was right after high school when I was in community college, and I started on this, and I was still on my perspective on it. So I was going for like, let's make him look like he's getting ready to take off the page, and then that's what I did. So his legs are kind of hunched out like he's getting ready to fly, and the wings are spread back. Let me move over to
the
next guy here, and this is Zorax, right?
Oh yeah.
Zorax. Now this one was a really fun one because this one makes me think of a mix of like a hornet with the tail and obviously some Megaguirus influenced appearance in here a little bit. Daniel, since you don't know who Megaguirus is a giant mutant prehistoric dragonfly from Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. It's based off of Meganura. Did you remember Meganura from the Smithsonian? It's the prehistoric dragonfly.
Mm. Yes.
So, yeah. But my question I was going to ask you, Zach, is for the inspiration for Zorax, what was some of the stuff that you threw in there, like aside from just Megaguirus, which would be the obvious one a little bit, just because of the claws and the head.
Megaguirus was definitely it because she's like my favorite. So I just really wanted a kaiju like her, but I've actually had her redesigned recently, and she looks a lot meaner and a lot cooler, honestly.
Oh, cool!
But I'll have to send you that over. I'll have to send that over to you.
Yeah.
But mostly just bugs. I like bugs.
Is the dragonfly your favorite one?
Dragonflies? Yes, I like dragonflies. And scorpions with the tail. I suppose I was going for a more scorpion look for the tail than I was a hornet.
Yeah. Like now that I think about it, like with the way the tail has the bulge at the end, and then with this giant large stinger coming out, it does have more of a scorpion look to it. At the time, and like just until like you told me that, I always thought it was like a wasp because like when I think of like insects of like a large cylinder shape at the end, and then like a stinger, if it's not segmented, like you know what I mean, it's not like has segments like a centipede. First thing I think of is like a wasp, because that's normally what I've seen around here that looks like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me move on to the next one here. And this guy was a real fun one. The thing I love about this guy is he's got the multiple tails, and each one of them's got like these little like almost like hooks at the end of them, which is really cool. Let's see. Pull up this guy's name. It's Sabora, I believe. Sabora.
Yep, Sabora. Yeah.
Sabora. Yeah. What was your inspiration behind this guy?
Iris from Gamera 3.
Really, Iris? I know that because tell me about it.
So the original design back in the day was basically just a quadruped iris. But so for this one, I just made it for this design. I updated it to look more skeletal. I wanted him to look more skeletal, like he's wearing the bones of another creature. And the tails were basically just iris tentacles.
Yeah, that's interesting because when I was looking at the tails when you sent me the rough sketch, the first thing I thought of was like a mace, like a European like mace, or
Okay.
yeah, or some you would see from like fantasy games where the cleric has like a blunt weapon that kind of has that shape that the tails
Mm.
have at the end. Like you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
like a
Mm.
flanged mace. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's the
So,
first thing I saw.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I didn't personally didn't think that. I was going for like I don't have a figure of Iris, but the how they open up and then they got like blasters inside. That's basically what uh one of his powers is.
Yeah, the what do they call it? The mana cannon because he can use the mana
Oh yes.
camera does. Those things are always pretty cool because they went from blades and then they turned into laser cannons like when they like the blades
Mm.
up, which is pretty cool. And I can see that now. I guess I guess the thing was when I was drawing this and when I saw the picture you showed me, all the tentacles were opened up. So the first thing I thought of was like, oh, like this is how they look normally, like they're static and they're always open or something. That must have been the thing I was thinking of at the time. The thing I
And I
thought was,
also read this guy too myself.
oh, you
I've
redesigned
redesigned I redesigned all of these because I was working on the comic script for the comic version that I want to do. I'll send that stuff over when I find it.
yeah, sure thing. We can say that for the next one, or if
Okay.
we got some time left, we can pull them up. This one was a really cool one too. This is Plague, right?
Oh yeah.
Plague. The cool thing I loved about this was when I saw the sketch for him, he's got all these details, but his claws were like like acid or something, or like they're burning, like this. They're all pure white. Like it's either like it's toxic or acid or something. I thought that was cool because I always like it when characters have this high contrast between them. Like like a great example just to kind of like bring up was Hexus's final form in Fern Gully. So he's this black amorphous blob. I know it sounds weird,
Oh.
but he's like this black amorphous blob. It's a skeleton, but then he's got these orange, bright, glowing stuff from his eyes and the mouth and stuff. So that was something like I thought about a little bit when I was doing him because the drawing had just like not a lot of detail in the claws and the tail, but then all this like thick, darker lines and shadows on the body.
Yeah.
It's been a hot.
Play.
Sorry,
What?
go ahead. I was going to say it's been a hot minute since I've thought about Fern Gully.
The same.
Wow, that rang a bell way in the back. But that was a very dope character. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a fun movie. It's been a while. I'm sure my baby would like that. He likes musical stuff. Anyways, Plague. Yeah, his hands are supposed to be actually on fire. And so is his head. So there's like burning energy or something like that. And it's almost I think I originally had him have him where his bones, you could see his bones through his hands and stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, that would be dope.
I think what was going on at the time, if I remember right, because I don't have my own Facebook anymore. I made a new account and everything.
Right.
It was back in 2016. Okay, it was 2016, and we were going between the sketches, and I remember I did a version of this where he did have some of his bone fingers showing through, but it didn't convey the idea that his hands were on fire because we were doing it like just black and white for like the drawing look. So I think you asked me, you said like, oh, can you just erase the lines in there because it kind of messes with the detail and just keep them like that. And that's what I ended up doing. So I erased the pencil lines, just inked out the outline of the hands and gave them the look like, like these are really hot. His tail's partially on fire. And Yeah, and the thing I still like is you can tell like it looks like there's energy coming off of it because all the detail just stops when it gets to his hand and it's this bright white.
Yeah.
You know, it really pops with him.
You did an awesome job with these.
Thank you. Yeah,
It's like years later, still really impressive looking.
it's crazy because I was when I did this at the time, I thought like I don't know if he's gonna like these. Like I don't know. Like I'm my own worst critic. You know, like it's like every creative writer or artist. You know, we're all kind of our own worst critics on our work. So it's that time has passed. I can say like yeah, actually, I think I did okay. I think I did good. And this was the most frustrating one to do out of all of them. It was because I saw the sketch you sent me of him, and I was looking at all the tentacles and the claws and all that. And I was like, oh God, how do I draw this thing and make it look cool? Like, because you know the sketch I saw that you had him in, like it was a good sketch, but I wanted something that was I don't know. I was looking for something that was gonna like you know like really show like the amount of strength that this thing has because it had all these tentacles and these claws, and I thought of the idea of it almost like you know getting ready to like charge or like you know, maybe like swimming or something, and it's got these claws here, and then the tentacles are shooting out, you know, just to show like how fierce and aggressive this thing is, and I remember I had way more tentacles than that on the pencil sketch, and I erased like 15 of those, and then I put the thing in, and it took me actually 2 days to finish that damn thing back then because I was I was trying to figure out how to do that. But my question about this guy though, I've always liked this one because he looks like a nautilus to me, and I've always loved the nautilus because I always thought they were like they're as a kid they were one of my favorite deep sea animals because I always loved the shell, the tentacles, and the eyes. What's your inspiration behind? Let me pull up this guy's name real quick. It is. Hang on.
This is Wraith.
Wraith. Yeah, that's Wraith. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Wraith. What was your inspiration behind Wraith?
Well, this one I think was like a pill bug, and like it's got a mandibles, so kind of like the Mega Suchi from Jeremy Robinson's Project 731 book. So kind of like it's been a while since this one. This one's a newer one too.
Yeah, it's I never thought of the pill bug thing. Like I was like I guess back in the day I never really asked you much about them because I just kind of thought like okay like let's get these drawings pumped out and go and the thing I was mainly focusing on was like hey does this look good, does this look good you know, so
right.
I definitely see the pill bug thing, but I also see like a little bit of like the isopod, you know, like the deep sea isopod.
Okay, yeah. Well, I was going for a little more Lovecraftian too, with the tentacle, all the tentacles, all the tentacles.
Yeah. I was going to say, if, like, definitely with the pill bug influence, it's like just replaced all of the pill bug's legs with tentacles, and then gave it larger, more armored legs and jaws. Because sleep is overrated.
Yes. My goal is to give you 90%.
As good monsters should.
Yes.
I just noticed something funny. This is a memory just came back to me. So if you look in the corner between his armor pads, so there's a kind of a funny story if you look in there. So there's a circle, like kind of like a swirl going in there. And okay, so when I was looking at the textures for the original like rough sketch drawing you sent me, and I noticed like they're really wavy. I was trying to do something where I did like some circular things. I got inspired by how Junji Ito did like his meaty look to like some like flesh and stuff. So I was trying to do something with like the swirls, but make them look meaty in between each of his little pads, and eventually it didn't work, and I kind of like gave up on that. So I went back to just doing a bunch of cross hatching to cover up my mistake. And you can still kind of see it in there, and like each like the first three you see it. So you see it in the one there, the second one, and the third.
Yeah.
One. Yeah, because I was trying to see if like it would look good, and I looked at it, I was like, that doesn't look good. So I just went and did cross hatching to make it look like just thick skin in between.
I think I did have like circular areas there because tentacles are supposed to pop out from under his shell. So he's got more tentacles.
You know what's scarier than a whole lot of tentacles?
More tentacles.
Tentacles.
And then let's move on to this one here. This one was always cool because it reminded me of the Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors mixed with the Naroshi Arise oil painting of Biolante on Godzilla vs. Biolante's poster. Vishlari, right? Vishlari?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Vishlari. Yes. So what was your inspiration behind the giant rose cactus thing with the Squidward tentacles?
Well, Biolante, for sure. And, well, I suppose you already said the inspirations. Little Shop of Horrors, Audrey 2. Just this one's been around for a while too. Back in grade school, it's been a while.
Well, one thing I've been wondering is the legs. So Biolante doesn't have any like real feet exactly. Biolante's just got a bunch of roots at the bottom that she kind of moves on. I was wondering for like the feet there. It kind of reminds me of how like elephants, like elephants got like these really big like legs with like spikes out. I was wondering like if maybe they might be inspired by elephant legs, maybe for the bottom.
A little bit, yes. I was going for more like big, thick, like stalks. Yeah.
And here's another question before we move on to the next one. And this is what I've always wanted to ask. So if somebody was to eat Vishlari, would it taste like a turnip?
Turnip?
I don't know. I just
getting to the real questions.
Yeah, we're getting to the real questions here. What would Vishlari taste like as a giant vegetable monster? You know what I mean?
Is it kale? I bet it's kale.
Is it kale?
The green bean.
The green bean.
The green bean.
The green bean, yeah. I had to ask that question because that's a serious question here, right? Your readers will want to know, whenever you write a biography.
The real question is, does this still count as vegetarian?
Ooh, that is a good question.
It's kind of like asking if eating, Bulbasaur is vegetarian. Although I think I just dated the shit out of myself with that.
And then this is the guy that's on the front cover of Kaiju Epoch 1. It's Maruga, I believe, right? Maruga? Maruga. There we go. So what was your inspiration behind this guy?
I'm sure you can guess.
I got two guesses, and they might be right, but they might be wrong. Because, what I don't know. What do you think, Meanie? What do you think?
I'm gonna go with Godzilla, but he's not spiky or spiny. He's just thick.
Thickzilla.
Thickzilla. It's extra thick and a little spiky.
A little spiky.
Mild Godzilla.
My guess was going to be Gamora from Ultraman or Togera from War of the Monsters. That was going to be my two guesses.
Yeah, Godzilla was one of them, and I used the skin texture from Nemesis mostly.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I see it now a little bit with like the legs and the arms.
yeah, I didn't know about Togera, so the arm spikes is like everyone's like, oh, it's like Togera. I'm like, who? I don't know who that is.
No,
Eh,
yeah, they,
you can only intake so much content, guys.
yeah. Yeah, to explain, I guess, who Togera was, Daniel, just so Togera was a monster playable in the PS2 game back in 2002 called War of the Monsters. He's basically the game's Godzilla like knockoff because they couldn't get the rights to Godzilla, but they gave him the weird power where he can shoot bone spikes out and he shoots out like a alien mist out of his mouth that's like radiation basically. And he has a clubbed tail, so he's literally Godzilla, but he's like green and purple and a little bit of like teal on him, and he's got spike like his bone spikes come out of his body, and that's how he attacks stuff.
I wonder if the creator of Naruto saw that.
Probably, probably.
Anyways, you just kept saying bone spikes, and all I can think of is Kimimaro. Moving
Yeah.
on.
Would you say Gamora was a little bit of inspiration for the head? Because like the thing I think of sometimes when I look at him is how Gamora's got the U-shaped horns and then the horn on the nose.
I might get what's the word? Attacked for this, but I'm not an Ultraman fan.
Oh, that's all good.
So no, Gamora wasn't, but I can see that a little bit.
Like it to me, it makes me think of that, or maybe a little bit of Fox's head, a little bit, like kind of like the old style of like how a mythical kitsune would kind of look a little bit, just like because when you look at him like from this angle, he's got kind of like ears going to the sides. So
Yeah, I did kind of want to make his horns look like ears a little bit.
and he's the main monster on the front cover fighting Zorax, who's in the background behind me. What would you describe? Is this guy like your main monster of your series?
Yeah.
How would you describe his character? Like, I guess, like if you could describe his personality in some way.
Uh, It's been a while since I've written these. He's he's an intelligent kaiju. He can actually speak through telepathy. So he's more human than a normal kaiju.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I can think of.
I actually, I don't want to immediate like pull us too far away from the design discussion, but will you give me 5 seconds? Small dog. Anyways, one of the things I was kind of curious from a writing standpoint, especially, and I know we don't want to hold you up too long, but for like when you're qualifying it as kaiju fiction fantasy for it, it's going to be a kaiju novel. For the rest of the world, when you're talking about the human characters, the world itself, yada yada, do you feel like you go more on kind of like genre wise, do you feel it blends more with like sci-fi over horror because it's more of a or does it just kind of depend on how the monster comes out, or do you try to maintain classic horror monster use with the kaiju characters themselves? Granted, some of them don't apply, they're giant, so having it jump out of the shadows is not quite in their repertoire. But the more on, I guess my question is, where do you lean as a writer when conveying them in the story? Are they like an obstacle to overcome, work around, something that can be understood if, eventually more sci-fi route? Or is it, from the human perspective, like watching, Cthulhu and Haster duke it out on a Tuesday? We have no idea what's going on. We're just here. I'm trying to buy bread, and suddenly I've, seen the ghost of madness, and he just got punched by dreams. Totally unknowable. You're never going to figure it out. That's why it's scary. So which, or we're, a totally different direction for it. What would you say?
I suppose I have a tendency to explain things. So, so more sci-fi and like where they come from, why they're here.
Okay, so definitely a more investigative approach to explaining them and everything. I gotcha. That was kind of my big question that I still had.
Okay.
Sorry. Well, is there I don't know, just kind of, what would you say, for the readers, for the audience that you try to provide for, whether it's the sci-fi elements or the monster designs, interpersonal drama while the world is on fire from a giant dragon. What do you like to focus on story, like plot wise? Like, what is the kind of plot line stuff you structure these guys with?
Like, I try to make it about the monster as much as possible, but there's only so much you can do. You have to have human characters. You can't just focus on the creature. So I always have something for the human characters to do, whether it be with the monster or other monsters. They need to be as relevant as possible, and they're just not there to, I guess, just witness destruction.
So not quite. You don't want them to be, spectators to the whole thing.
Right.
Just relaying the information. It's like, we were reporting from Channel 7, but they were stomped on. So now reporting from Channel 6. The continuing coverage of 85's monster attack. We recommend just not going over there. If you had a job there, it's not there anymore. Okay. I was just, curious on, what else you like to put into it and focus on when you're writing the stories and everything. It's kind of all I've got for you, man. It's been really informative. Honestly, I need to go buy a bunch of your stuff now.
Thanks.
Go from there. As well as like, just I think we need to definitely have a whole video with Nick just designing giant monsters. What can go into that process and everything. Definitely a good follow-up to
that would be fun.
This and everything. So anything else, Nick?
I was trying to see if there was, I think that's all of them. I wanted to say there was one more I might have skipped. Let me double check in the book real quick. No, that's all of them. Okay. Yeah, we covered all the monsters of the first book. Let me see what. Right, the Blue Moon series. That was something I was going to bring up. So your Blue Moon comic series you're doing right now, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You want to talk about that just real quick before we head off here?
It's an adaptation of my Blue Moon novella. I don't know if it's a novella or a novel. I don't remember the word count. But right now I'm I'm working on getting pages done. It's out of pocket, so it's very slow. It's a slow process getting pages done because I have to pay for it myself, and I can only have so much money.
The constant struggle for every small creator.
Yeah. But it's on Webtoon right now. I've got about 5 episodes out. They vary in length. It's about 20 some pages, maybe.
What's the I hate calling it, but I don't know. Sell me on it, man. Give me the synopsis. Why is it good? What's great about it?
Okay. It follows Jeremy Walker, who is attacked by a werewolf in the middle of the woods with his girlfriend, and she's killed. And then he becomes a werewolf himself and a monster hunter. So he hunts monsters while looking for the werewolf that attacked them.
Nice. Classic set. Liking it.
Yeah.
All right. Dope. I haven't seen a werewolf. Basically a werewolf Van Helsing. Been to it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Nicely. All right. Cool. Nick, back to you, man.
Say that's going to sound really interesting, and I honestly love the idea. I think it's going to be really cool, and your future readers and your current readers you got are going to love it.
Yeah,
and definitely
it's been an experience working in comics, and honestly, I think I like comics more than I do actual writing novels.
Well, that's how I kind of it sucks. I still don't even have my first one out, even though I have the whole draft done that I did in high school. I just never finalized that. That's the funny thing, on that topic of that, is that I wanted to try and write a book first, and then I'm more of a visual person. I guess you are too, since you like comics better. And I decided to try and well, what if I just wrote my words into images? That's what I did. So
sorry.
Oh no, go ahead, man.
Originally, me and my friend were gonna do a graphic novel of Blue Moon, so it's kind of fun to come around full circle.
Oh, nice. There's I've had a couple of start and stops on comics to it, but just as you said, that you were running into just getting the pages done, because there are only 2 options. It's either you find an artist you can pay to do it, or you do it yourself. And that's a really difficult skill. Right. To, just telling a good story in and of itself is difficult. Adding on not just being able to, communicate visually, but then, being able to communicate visually above others so that it's noticed a little more, having an understanding of even film language became kind of important when I was looking at just how to lay out comic book panels and stuff from there. But I mean, honestly, man, the best advice I've gotten so far is just that, nothing gets done until it's on the page. As slow as it takes, as long as you're still putting stuff on page at the end of the day. It's progress. It's all we can really do for it. And it's also, kind of why we why we wanted to start the podcast as well. Get, fellow creators in that are walking towards the path as best we can for it. Because, eventually I would love to just have my work published and be able to get that to pay the bills and everything. And live the dream life as the creator for it, and especially for other creators, when that is your goal, if that's what you're trying to get to, I think nowadays, and this is honestly probably Nick, I'll go ahead and shout out our next episode, unless we have someone else scheduled first. But one of the episodes me and Nick are working on is looking at taking it one step at a time. What it's been like for us to have done that. Scraps, I love you, but if you don't stop whining at me, I'm going to chuck you out the room. I don't know. I'm really hoping y'all can't hear him.
I can't hear.
That's the first time I just heard him.
Okay, so it wasn't until I pointed it out. Awesome. No, but he's not stopping in the background. It's driving me a little insane. But we wanted to look at just the different ways we can improve that and everything, and honestly uncover a lot of the stuff that kind of hampers our progress. Just a minor detail to throw on for advertising. One of the big things about selling on Amazon is if you want to run advertisements on Amazon, if you want to get your book seen outside of basically just organic sponsor advertising through Amazon, at least at the time, it was for 1 month, it was $500 to run one ad.
What?
And it's one of those things of like, I ran into so many courses that were like, you have to run these ads, and you should be having 3 or 4 of these ads. And at no point in these freaking videos did it mention that it was hundreds of dollars to run one ad just for the month. And that's and the hope is for most of these guys that basically you push your sales enough through the investment that way that it recoups by the end of the month. Or like the end of the next month or so. And, that system does work if you have 10 grand laying around.
Right.
I don't know many people in my social circle that have 10 grand just kind of laying around. So the rest of us in the realm of possibility have been working through just, the social platforms you can use and yada, yada. So without giving too much else away for that episode, Zach, it's been awesome to hear your story as well, man, and how your career has gone so far. And I hope, we'll see more from you in the future, and we'll get you on again here for a follow-up and probably that monster design talk.
Okay.
Go from there. What say you, Nick?
Yeah, I'm down. Let's do it.
All right, man. Well, I don't know if you have an official sign off, Nick.
Well, I kind of do. So I just go to well, this is the end of our podcast. Hope you all enjoyed it, and thank you, Zach, for coming on and telling us about your books and about yourself.
Hey, yes, no problem.
Very much agreed, man. Thank you so much for coming on. But I just have one question, Nick. Why did your voice raise an octave when you started saying that?
Oh, why did my voice raise an octave?
I'm messing with you.
I actually don't know. Maybe it's my voice acting techniques are coming out. You know what I mean?
It's secretly you just want to be a news correspondent. That's all it is. All right.
Yes. I want to have
guys.
Hispanic accent eventually. Anyway, but
coming to you live from the East Coast. This has been Meanest Media.
This is Meanest Media.